came to assist him. Later on in that evening, the team of Brody Lee and Delirious would defeat Cheech and Cloudy, and Tyler Black would go on to defeat Jerry Lynn.
I like how they can use Cheech but not Chong. That's funny.
Now, within all of the ROH Havoc that they were part of, this faction was also represented by members in Full Impact Pro, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and All American Wrestling. So they got around the indie circuit. The accolades that these folks held, well, Tyler Black was a Full Impact Pro World Heavyweight Champion. Jimmy Jacobs, IWA Mid-South Light Heavyweight Champion, all while they're in the Age of the Fall. Tyler Black also had the All-American Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Jimmy Jacobs would get the Mr. Chainsaw Productions Wrestling World Championship, which I had never heard of till doing this research, but I had to add it on here because that sounds awesome. Mr. Chainsaw Productions Wrestling World Championship. Good shit. Jacobs also had the AAW Heritage Champion. Mischief held the Shimmer Champion one time while in this, one of many of her reigns. And Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black would be Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions twice during this. Ring of Honor, they won the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion Tournament, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla World Tag Team Champions, and All-American Wrestling Tag Team Champions. I mean, this is just a who's who of who was going to be up-and-comers. Like, this is what you looked at to see the future of wrestling back in 2007.
Yeah. That's not so.
This was fun.
I have to go back and watch some of this stuff. This sounds real interesting.
Yeah, especially go on YouTube and just find the debut of them with Jay Briscoe hung up from the rigging and just with Jacobs covered in the blood. It's pretty badass.
Sounds like it. And coming in at number 1. It's 2020, and the year of our Lord, the demo god Y2J. An arena full of lunatics and their children are foaming at the mouth for more WWE Attitude Era goodness. When all of a sudden the air is pierced with the sound of shrill sirens and fire alarms, and from the Titantron emerges 5 figures in white button-down shirts and black slacks. Enter the Right to Censor. Of course, Right to Censor was started by Steven Richards after, I think he single-handedly started coming out and covering up women after bra and panties matches, taking away hardcore items from matches, just trying to clean up an awful, terrible, rampantly ran Attitude Era WWE. Later then, I think Bull Buchanan was with him at the beginning too. But they later destroyed and reformed both the Godfather and Val Venus, and the Godfather was known as the Good Father. Ivory soon joined, and for a mere minute, the Cat was a part of the faction as well, just so they could show her naked, and then she left WWE.
I was going to say, make sure you specify that it's the Cat, Jerry Lawler's ex-underage girlfriend, not or wife, not the Cat, Ernest Miller. Somebody better call my mama. Cat with a K, not Cat with a C.
And while they may not have held the most championships, the reason they are at our forefront is they completely changed the landscape of WWE. The Attitude Era had to come to an end at some point, and Steven Richards had the plan to put that into fruition. This was probably one of the more impactful factions of my younger years, just because it was like, whoa, what is this? I hate them so much. And as I grew older, I was like, I loved them. It was good. It was good. Because you go back, you watch Attitude Era wrestling, and you better have some real rosy-colored glasses.
Yeah, it's not as good as you remember. The soap opera stuff is pretty fun. About 50% of it. 50% of it's pretty cringy also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is great for a number 1 spot. I can't think of any, especially because you really don't hear about them. And Maybe it's because, we've talked about so many of these factions, how they went on to such great success. None of these guys really ever did after their tenure in the RTC.
Yeah, no, this was kind of the culling grounds for a lot of these rather storied careers.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, they reinvigorated the Godfather's character, which was getting pretty stale, into the Good Father. Val Venus, they brought out Sean Morley. Yeah. Ivory, I thought Ivory just did such a good, stuck-up, pompous bitch.
Yeah, beyond Steven Richards, she's by far the standout of the group, I think, in my eyes. Right. But Steven Richards, I loved him so much in this role, and it bothered me. It bothers me to this day that he didn't have any more of a run beyond this in WWE.
Yeah, Steven Richards was always pretty much anywhere he was always the could have been. I mean, he had the look of a superstar. He was I'd say better than decent on the mic. He was good in the ring. But even in a place like ECW, I mean, he never got over that hump. He was upper mid-card in ECW, and that was the highest he ever got in any company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Buchanan, the Good Father, held the tag team champions one time, and Ivory was a WWF Women's Champion as well in the run of this faction. The group disbanded after losing, as I said earlier, a 4-on-1 handicap match to The Undertaker on the April 26, 2001 episode of SmackDown, following a massive defeat at WrestleMania X7, with every member losing their individual matches on the card. I mean, Right to Censor couldn't last forever, but they played an important role in the history of what would be the future of, WWE.
Yeah, truly. Boy, I think that's a fantastic list there, Paystee.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the hate mail we get.
So just to run down the list for everybody one more time. Number 10, Ministry of Darkness. 9, Job Squad. 8, Dangerous Alliance. 7, Fortune. 6, Dollhouse. 5, L.I.J. Los Ingobernables de Japón. 4, Varsity Club. 3, The Revolution and the Radicals together as one. 2, Age of the Fall, and our number 1 underrated faction of all time, Paystee.
Right to Censor.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Woo, that was fun. We haven't done a top 10 for a while. It's always fun.
Yeah, it's always good to have it back. But now it's time we snap into this week's edition of the Savage Sentinel.
Well, Paystee, our good friend John Pollock of Post Wrestling reported Dio Madden, Mia Yim, Shane Thorne, and Mercedes Martinez, as well as Dominik Dijakovic, are Retribution's internal roster. The Unmasked Men. Meltzer has also confirmed this report. All of these wrestlers have been appearing in promos in the last couple weeks on Raw, with both Martinez and Dijakovic being used in actual speaking roles, just altering their voices. On Monday's episode of Raw, the group did a promo where they talked about the Machine and how everyone is bad for liking the Machine. They ended the promo with a number of extras appearing by wearing the same apparel as the group, but it has appeared that it's not going to be as many people as they show. It's going to be this core group right here.
Which sucks, Fat Mack. It's stupid. Because this goes all the way back to the Hacker, like almost a year ago, when Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee are putting on some of the best matches I've seen in quite some time in NXT. So, like, what I don't get, like, Dio Madden, yeah, okay, I was called up to the main roster to do commentating, and then they sent me back. I'm mad. But nobody else has a reason to be mad at main roster WWE. Unless they're going to be like, oh, you're going to ruin us. But they're not going to say that. And if that's the case, does Keith Lee join them? Because that would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like even though I love them putting these they're not young upstarts, but in WWE's mind, they're these young upstarts, and they're veterans, of course. I like the idea of them having a major angle, but I hate to say it, but I almost feel like you need somebody who's a main event guy to be behind this, to give them a little bit of to give them some authenticity, to give them some legitimacy in the fans' eyes, at least.
Yeah, and it's been weeks since they were doing like pitch shifted promos where people had corrected it to hear that it was Dominic and Mia Yim. So we've known about this for a while. I'm wondering if what the swerve isn't with this is that some big superstar is actually at the helm of this, because there has to be, right?
It was me all along.
Dominic Dijakovic is good, but he's not a guy to run a faction. And if you've seen any of these promos they've been cutting, he's terrible on a microphone.
Yeah, I don't want him to be the leader of the group. I really don't want any of these guys being the leader of the group.
I don't want this to be a group. At least not with this kind of thing. Like, I don't understand why you're hacking and being angry about things WWE did to you when they haven't done anything to you yet. There should be people who are pissed because they got let go, you know what I mean? Or something along that line.
From what we know about WWE, they probably don't realize where this story's going either, you know what I mean? They're probably just doing it as they go. They had nothing to do with these people, so all right, let's throw them in here. We'll figure it out when we get there.
They're gonna botch it, dude. It's gonna be Wade Barrett's the leader.
No way. Right? I'm afraid I got some bad news for you. I'm Retribution.
I think Mia Yim's the only one who walks away from this with any kind of a career afterwards.
I mean, Mercedes Martinez is so super talented, but as far as in WWE's eyes,
yeah,
I think she's probably too old.
Yeah, same with Dominic Dijakovic, right? Like, he's in good shape, but is he really usable?
Yeah, I mean, at least he's a male. I know for women, yeah, she's 39 years old. I mean, she's super young, and she's got probably a good 5 years left in her as an amazing wrestler, but I don't think WWE looks at it that way.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen Dio Madden in a match on NXT or anything. So
I don't think I've ever seen Dio Madden. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, there's better news in the forecast, Fat Mack. As Rocky Romero dropped a bombshell on the 700th episode of Talk is Jericho. God, we got some work to do.
Right.
He announced, we're working on an animated series. It's going to debut on Instagram. It's called The Gimmick. If it's the first time you've ever heard about it, it's actually phenomenal.
Oh, does that mean AJ's going to be in there?
Yep, it's a hint. It's a nudge. We're working with an amazing team. They're called Toonstar. It's an amazing studio out in LA. And basically, we're doing South Park meets wrestling, but South Park already did that.
Yeah, they did a great job.
It was awesome. It's insanity. All the insanity from Talkin' Shop-A-Mania. We're bringing it to you in animation, as a cartoon. It's unfiltered, it's raw, it's real, and it's pretty crazy. And it couldn't possibly be worse than Camp WWE, right?
That's true.
I had so much hope for that. It was good for a couple episodes.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to see what it is. I don't know. You know, with it being on Instagram, is it like, a 7-minute show? Is it a 15-minute show? Is it a half-hour show? How does this work?
I'm assuming it's going to be like shorts, Yeah. Which I'm okay
that's cool.
with.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a few little skits here and there, like they had with Talkin' Shop-A-Mania. It's just like watching Talkin' Shop-A-Mania in, maybe 10 different settings.
And I think the point is like they don't got any ground to stand on with it starting off, but maybe doing this on Instagram, maybe they'll get picked up by Cartoon Network eventually, who does 15-minute shows. You know what I mean?
Great. I could see them on Adult Swim. It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
Comedy Central even.
Yeah.
Well, Paystee, on that same Talk is Jericho interview, Doc Gallows, as Sex Ferguson, announced that Talkin' Shop-A-Mania 2 will happen on November 13th at 10 p.m.
Yes.
He says, Friday, November 13th, Talkin' Shop-A-Mania 2. I'm announcing it live right here on Talkin' Shop via Talk is Jericho. I'm coming for too bad. It ain't going to be an eye for an eye. It's going to be a ball for a ball match.
Oh, it's going to be so good. I want to know, like, what's he going to do to make the ball come out that wouldn't make a ball come out? You know what I mean? Like,
right? The thing about this is, when you listen to the to the podcast, which I recommend everybody does. He's really drunk when he's saying this.
Yeah.
And yeah, and both Machine Gun Anderson and Rocky Romero